dear colleagues. I'm very happy to welcome you here in San Francisco on the 6th International Forum and Roadshow Invest and Trade in Ukraine. The organizer is A7 Conferences, and we are very happy to welcome you all here. A co-organizer of this series of conferences is international law firm Dentons, with 125 locations that are very happy to host you here with this beautiful office. And I'm Maria Barabash, the founder and president of A7 Group. It was our big dream to be here, and we're here. But thanks to our partners. Without our partners, it won't happen. And I would like to tell great thank you and be grateful to our partners as supported by Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, of the General Consulate of Ukraine in San Francisco, with great support to all the our citizens that are working here very, very far from our country. Also, I would like to thank our institutional partner, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, solar energy partner, Rentechno Group, logistics partner, Ukrposhta, energy partner, JKX Oil and Gas, US strategic partner, Khashoggi Law Firm, official career partner, Turkish Airlines. Thanks to Turkish Airlines, we're all here so safely, very comfortable, and here for all our 4 locations in Canada and US this March. Actually, it's the 4th forum. The first one was in Toronto, then in New York, Houston, and now we're in Palo Alto and San Francisco area. Also, thanks to our Ukrainian investment partner, A7 Capital, and also you can see in the brochure the investment catalog of A7 Capital company with the investment projects of Ukrainian companies that you might be interested, and you can find Katerina Sivakova, Vice President for A7 Capital, and Eugene Sushенko, Investment Director of A7 Capital, to answer your questions. Also, I would like to thank Canadian investment partner Belridge Capital, business travel partner Airlife, strategic partner Art Service Construction Company, and creative partner A7 Creative. I will stop more on our partners because we have more than 50 of them, but actually the exclusive and very welcome our media partner Forum Daily, and we have Julia here as a managing editor, so thank you very much for supporting for media partnership. So the main goal of our conferences is to promote Ukraine worldwide, is to tell Ukraine, to tell truth about Ukraine, to tell the most updated information about our country. We're very passionate about that, and happy to see you all here. And to see that there is such big interest to know more about Ukraine. We have 2 panel discussions today, but before that I would like to introduce and to welcome to the stage for welcome remarks Mr. Sergei Aleshin, Consul General of Ukraine in San Francisco. Mr. Aleshin, please welcome.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure for me to welcome you all at 6th International Forum Invest and Trade in Ukraine. And I'm confident that you will find today's presentations and discussions interesting and useful. But first of all, let me express high appreciation to A7 Group, Dentons Law Firm, and Nova Ukraine organization, as well as personally to Maria Barabash, Stafford Matthew, and Nick Bilogorsky for their tremendous work in organizing this forum. Today, Ukraine's government is taking significant efforts to implement economic reforms targeted at creating new jobs and increasing our competitiveness, while helping business reduce their operational costs and invest in perspective IT, agriculture, and energy sectors of Ukrainian economy. Talking about obstacles which Ukraine stumbles or its European integration way, I have to mention, first of all, the unprecedented aggression of Russia that our country has been facing for over 3 years. This blatant military aggression, together with absolutely shameless propaganda, unacceptable political and economic pressure, definitely puts Russia in a row of states who are gross violators of international law. However, Western aspirations of the Ukrainian people are irreversible, and therefore significant support of Ukraine by the civilized international community is vital for my country now. And in this regard, Ukraine highly appreciates the United States' strong shoulder in these hard times. I am also pleased to stress on the ongoing intensification of political dialogue between Ukraine and the United States of America at all levels. In particular, on July 2016, President of Ukraine Petro Poroshenko met with Governor of the State of California Edmund Brown to discuss ways of further strengthening of bilateral trade and investment cooperation. We also realized that Ukraine now has to undergo complicated process of ambitious reforms. Transformation of the national economy is therefore a matter of national survival for Ukraine. We do not just expect for the international community to bail us out. We are taking every possible measure to boost our economy and looking for effective solutions. In the past 2 years, Ukraine has made a greater progress in implementing reforms than in the first 23 years of our independence. We established already the corruption platform, launched public procurement system ProZorro, law enforcement, judiciary, and decentralization reforms. The National Anti-Corruption Bureau and the Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office have commenced their operations. They contribute to the common cause, and there has been significant improvement in the work also of the Security Service, the National Police, and the Public Prosecutor's Office. The mandatory use of the ProZorro procurement system has saved the government already 9 billion Ukrainian hryvnias. These savings can be used for pressing economic and defense needs. Moreover, the integration of ProZorro with the e-data finance portal has enabled users to track treasury payments under awarded contracts and prevent further corruption in Ukraine. Let me also share my thoughts about the most prospective fields of Ukrainian-Californian economic cooperation. In particular, Ukraine is a powerful candidate for a larger share of IT business. Nowadays, we have less than 1% of the world's IT market, but we can easily do 10 times more in the nearest time. Our scientific, highly skilled human resources and logistical advantages give us an opportunity to increase our share of global IT outsourcing to 10–15% or even more. In addition, there are a lot of talented Ukrainian startups which intend to expand their business globally using the Silicon Valley resources. In this view, Ukrainian startups are always of tremendous interest among American venture capitalists. Also, the rich soil and the vast field of wheat and other food products have led to Ukraine's description as breadbasket of Europe. Nearly 1 of 4 workers in Ukraine is employed in agriculture or forestry-related industries. Today, Ukraine exports substantial amount of grain, vegetables, sugar, beets, sunflower seeds, and oil, milk, and meat. The European Union countries now purchase nearly 30% of these agricultural exports, which contribute to more than 5% of Ukraine's annual GDP. Ukraine boasts over 30% of the world's reserves of the most fertile black soils. And today Ukraine is the most suitable location in the world for organic agriculture and farming, which can provide 35 savings on operational costs and irrigation need, and over 20% higher yields compared to conventional. Considering the huge agricultural potential both of Ukraine and California, I am confident that the American investments into the agricultural sector of Ukraine and cooperation with the Ukrainian agrarian companies will be definitely mutually beneficial. And taking into account these facts and figures, we are confident that Ukrainian-Californian trade and economic relations have great potential for further development. And at the end, I want to thank you all for the attention and encourage further fruitful discussions. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aloshin. Thank you very much for your support, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs especially. And I would like to invite for welcome remarks our partner and official career partner of Turkish Airlines, Mr. Marcus Gomez. Mr. Marcus, please welcome.
Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to speak for a couple of minutes. My name is Marcus Gomez, as Maria said, based in San Francisco to help and support any corporate needs that your company has between Silicon Valley and Eastern Europe or anywhere between and beyond. So feel free to come and see me. We have a desk outside, or we are going to be actually between intervals. So come and see me. Let me know if I can do anything to help or support your business coming and going to the US or Silicon Valley. So my office is actually based in San Francisco, but as I am remote, so I can actually meet you anywhere. Thank you again, and we'll be around.
Thank you very much, Marcus. Thank you very much, Turkish Airlines, for hosting us here safely in so many directions. So it's actually the 8th airport. Our team is traveling like for 12 days. So, and I would like to introduce the moderator of the first panel discussion on energy issues between Ukraine and US, Ms. Julia Bunyak, managing editor of Forum Daily. Please.
Thank you. Maria, going to join us? Yes.
Good morning to everyone and welcome. First of all, I would like to thank organizers for this great opportunity to discuss substantial issues of the cooperation in the energy sector between Ukraine and the United States. So let's start our first panel discussion. US-Ukraine Invest and Trade Cooperation in Energy Sector, and I would like to introduce our speakers. Mikhail Afendikov, Chairman of CAP Energy, Natalia Katsera-Vuchkovska, Member of Ukrainian Parliament, head of the subcommittee on Sustainable Development Strategy and Investment Committee on Energy, Nuclear Policy and Security. Yevgen Ladnich, Chief Executive Officer and co-founder of Rentechno Group.
He will join us. He's
Okay, we'll be waiting for him. Alexei Buyaji, CEO and founder of Wheels of Engineering Technologies. And Maria Barabash, President and the CEO of A7 Group, founder and board member of Ukrainian Entrepreneurs Union. I want to remind everyone of the format of our discussion. Each speaker will have up to 7-10 minutes to share his or her point of view for the key issues of the topic. Other speakers may provide some additional short comments, and after that we will have Q&A session. Let's start. I would like to ask Mikhail Afendikov first. Would you like to share your thoughts about the present and the future of the energy sector, or the cooperation between Ukraine and the United States in the energy sector, please?
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. I would like, I'm the right speaker in this forum. We probably the last US public entity still existing in Ukraine. And the very first question, why would you invest in Ukraine? Why would you invest in the sector, in oil and gas? And I would like to go slightly into the history of Ukraine and give you an overview of what Ukrainian energy sector is. Ukraine is one of the energy hungriest countries in the world. It's in the top 5, and it shares its place with countries like Turkmenistan and Kuwait. Obviously doesn't have those resources. Net, Ukraine is a big importer of energy. And that's the main reason why anybody, including US companies, would like to invest in Ukraine. Historically, Ukraine been a big producer of natural gas. 50 years ago, Ukraine used to produce 3 times more natural gas than now, about 70 billion cubic meters. So 2 TCF of production today maybe is not that significant, but in 60s and 70s it was a big chunk of the whole European consumption. And if you look at the history of the pipelines, they were built from Ukraine to Russia, not as way around. Unfortunately, since 90s, Ukrainian production declined dramatically. We saw no investments in E&P sector in Ukraine. Still, biggest chunk of production comes from gas production from state-owned company, which is recently doing a lot of improvements. Independent producers, I believe we 25%, about 25% of the country in natural gas production, and it's right now we have a few public entities from UK. Technically we're a Canadian company. We're based in Houston, but we're a Canadian company. And the recent conflict in east of the country really changed a landscape of oil and gas industry. We see that mainly local Ukrainian companies survived and actually flourished. I mean, we talk about the TEC, who is the largest independent oil and gas producer. They doubled their production within the last 2 years. What was a major problem over the last 2-3 years was taxation. Production taxes were raised after the conflict started, and 2 years, basically, industry was destroyed. But the new government made the right decision to brought taxes back to where it was, to 28%. 2016 became a year where Ukrainian oil and gas industry started rebuilding itself. Again, unfortunately, 2-3 years of downturn will not go immediately. So we have lack of services, usual suspects, Schlumberger, Halliburton, Weatherford, in their smallest offices in many years. They do not provide many services. But recent shows, oil and gas shows, show that there are plenty of Ukrainian service companies. There are a few more new rigs. There is a lot of interest going on. So it is, I believe, right time to come to Ukraine and start looking for properties. What would you need to do if you're looking at developing oil and gas properties in Ukraine? You need a local partner. Well, it's easy to say for me, and my Ukrainian accent speaks for itself, but we definitely need somebody to talk to and be able to execute on the field. US government, I would say, does a lot of support to energy sector. Through these years, I've always been in contact with US ambassador. I'm continuously talking to State Department. We have a lot of support from US government towards developing energy sector in Ukraine. What are the challenges? The biggest challenge, I would say, was the failure of Parliament to adopt decreased royalties, proposed 12% tax for the new wells drilled since 2017 could have been a big boost, and I understand that the country needs money, but again, energy independence versus new budget, you have to look at that from different perspectives. There are a few other smaller issues. So basically the tax system should be adapted differently. There are minor issues in gas transportation system tariffs. There is a proposal to increase fees which would make use of gas transportation system underground storage uneconomical. On a wider energy sector, we developed a couple of solar projects, and again we see a lot of cooperation from United States government. We have understanding with OPAC, Overseas Private Investment Corporation, to finance a couple of such projects. Again, unfortunately, there are new tariffs being introduced by Ukrainian regulator, and that's a connection fee which 3 to 4 times higher than it used to be. They basically limited to 5 megawatt, but still it's something which I believe should be dealt with and make it more transparent, that the bigger projects, that 30, 50, 100 megawatt projects would be not charged unreasonable fees. Basically, that's my 2 cents on what's going on today in oil and gas, and I'll be happy to answer the questions.
Michael, thank you for your speech. Are there any comments to add? Okay, let's go for it. Our next speaker is Natalia Katzer-Buchkovska, member of the Ukrainian Parliament.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Natalia Katzer-Buchkovska. I'm member of Ukrainian Parliament and head of subcommittee for sustainable development, investments and strategy. So today I'll be happy to present you a few major things about energy sector, our reforms and investment opportunities. So I ask organizers to show my presentation to try how it works. Okay. Okay, so let me start with some general overview of our country development. So maybe as you know that Ukraine went, during the last few years, we went through tremendous challenges as our Ukrainian territory was invaded and we have very difficult turbulences. But my speech not about the war and the difficulties. My speech about what we was able to do and what we achieved since this time. So as of today, the World Bank confirms that Ukrainian GDP will grow by 3–4% in middle term perspective. Just to let you know that 10% of our territories was invaded, and a few years ago we lost 16% of our GDP. So this actually numbers shows that the Ukraine financial situation is stabilizing, and we are able to show the sustainable growth in few next years. So Ukraine also signed a EU-Ukrainian Association Agreement, Free Trade Agreement, and we are very, very close to visa-free regime with European Union, which also shows that Ukraine fulfill all necessary obligation and all necessary requirements before European Union and European Commission, which is also very good for investment climate. According also to the OECD investment policy review, Ukraine has made significant progress in improving investment policy framework. So what actually can be done is that a lot of Ukrainian state-owned company implemented OECD corporate government rules, which also has a positive impact on general economic situation. We also signed 70 bilateral investment trade agreement and foreign direct investment in 2016 increased by 17% up to the $4.4 billion. Other very good sign of our progress is that Ukraine actually will increase our position by 57 points in doing business World Bank ratings. So actually it's general view that there is a positive trend and our economy start growing these years. As a member of Energy Committee, today I will talk about energy reforms and where is this opportunities to invest. First of all, just to let you know, there is a few good news, and today Francis Fukuyama, Stanford professor, said that the gas market reform in Ukraine, he recently visited Ukraine, was the most prominent and was the most successful. So it actually was very good acknowledgement of our work. So we, first of all, we conducted very crucial and big gas market reform. I will be talking about this during my whole presentation, but just for the general understanding, before 2013, when we started reforming our gas market, we were totally dependent from one gas suppliers, Gazprom, and it was also a matter of high price, but also the matter of energy security. And at the moment, we were able to diversify the gas flows, and we are not buying Russian gas during the last year. So now we are buying gas from different European suppliers, and it also the evidence that we have energy and gas market in Ukraine, and which is more important, we are buying at market price, twice cheaper than it was a few years ago. So we are also on the process of power generation market reform. We also enacted few laws necessary for renewables investments, and now renewable markets start growing as well. And Ukraine has a big room for investment in energy efficiency. So I will start with energy efficiency, as here we have the biggest potential. This market just start developing, as before Ukraine has a very low prices on heat, energy, gas. There was not necessity to improve energy efficiency, and now about 70–80% of housing sector needs renovation, especially in terms of energy efficiency. And we are not proud of it that Ukraine is twice housing sector and industrial sector is at least twice energy and efficient as average in Europe. But from the other side, I would say that this is a place for investment, improvement, and opportunities. So actually, all necessary legislation about ESCO companies, taxation system, we already improved, and actually this market are ready for investments. So when we are talking about renewables, I suppose that it is also the most prominent and most promising place where we can invest, as Ukraine has a goal, according to the association agreement and other our Euro integration obligation, to reach 11% of renewables in energy power generation system up to the 2020. To your knowledge, today we have only 1.5% of renewables in our power generation system. So this goal and this obligation is will be very difficult to achieve, but still we, as a parliament, we enacted law to support renewables. We have the highest feed-in tariff in Europe, and this industry start growing. So the amount of investment required is up to 16 billion euro to achieve this goal. What is the promising and very good projects is the solar farm in Chernobyl exclusion zone. This is the initiative of our Minister of Ecology, who actually starts this project to convert Chernobyl exclusion zone. As you know, this is zone of Chernobyl catastrophe to place where the renewable and clean energy is generated. So now the project is in the process of realization, and this project are open for investments. So we also we have a big problem in Ukraine with waste. So almost 4% of our territory covered by waste fields. And we are also working on necessary legislation, and this is the big room for investment, waste proceeding plants, waste energy generation company based on waste. So actually this also could be a very good industry to invest. Wind and solar also has very big potential because of our natural resources. So renewables is one of the biggest fields to invest. I would also like to mention second way of privatization. So Ukraine has 3,000 state-owned companies, which is a very, very big number, and most of these companies are inefficient, and government decided to privatize. So here you can see the regional power generation companies which announced to be privatized in closest future. So now State Agency for Privatization, they are working on privatization, and this is quite a big portion of state-owned companies. I would also like to touch upon gas sector, gas production sector. So as my colleagues mentioned, Ukraine has a big reservoirs and big potential for gas extraction. And as of today, the estimated capacity and potential is 1 trillion cubic meters of natural gas. So we have one of the biggest state-owned company, Укргазвидобування, which also aims to increase their gas production, and they are also looking for investments. So they have target to achieve 20 billion cubic meters per 2020. And they are open for investment, as well as we have a lot of fields ready for private investments, and it's also very promising industry in energy. So I just will be very short touch upon nuclear investment. So we are also have a project of construction of central spent fuel storage facility, as well as Ukraine also requires technology to be protected from cyber attacks, and technology based on nuclear energy. Today, as we are here in Silicon Valley, I'm very thankful you are here. You devoted your time to Ukraine, and I would say that Ukraine has very big targets to achieve sustainability, and we are one of the first countries who signed a Paris Corp agreement and took all obligation according to this agreement. We are in Ukraine, we have big room for smart energy investment and green startups. I just write down here a few examples of successful startups who invented some good right things in energy saving, and they at the moment they raise necessary investments. So in energy efficiency, it was invention for energy monitoring that tells you how much energy you consume and how you can improve. On generation side, there was also smart blinks that automatically track the sun and generate electricity from its energy. And this technology are now implemented in Ukraine, and they are quite successful. They raise money and they have support through the business angels. On production side, there is also demand for technology which will help us to increase production, fractioning, there is also such technology in Ukraine. So the last my point is Ukraine also has a very big human capital. So we have a highly educated population, excellent technical education. We also have 13 world top best outsourced companies. I listed these companies. Ukraine is also top of 30 outsourced countries in the world, and we also have plus 35 position in our government's world rating. And to finish this presentation, I just want to mention that today we also have very good news, as Elon Musk, Tesla founder, said that he will probably invest in Ukraine. He tweeted this on his Twitter, and he's looking also for solar power generation in Ukraine. So this is all things I just very shortly touch upon. I also open for your question and discussion. So we have a very positive developments, and Ukraine is very interested for investments. Thank you.
Natalia, thank you. Our next speaker is Evgen Ladnich, Chief Executive Officer and co-founder of TRANSATLANTIC.
Hello. Hello, my name is Evgen Ladnich, and I'm co-founder and CEO of TRANSATLANTIC Group. TRANSATLANTIC Group is in renewable energy business of Ukraine, and my presentation today is about, I would like to focus on renewable energy projects in Ukraine. And here's the overall, you can see the overall data on the market of renewable energy projects, and you can see installed capacity since 2009. You can see that since 2009, because in 2009 there was changes adopted to the electricity legislation in Ukraine that opened the market for those changes, opened the market for renewable energy in Ukraine, and the core of the legislation amendments was introduction of feed-in tariff. And here you can see the distribution between different renewable energy technologies in terms of power generation. The figures for 2016. the next slide, I will try to explain how it works. You can see the overall distribution between different technologies, starting from nuclear, heat, hydro. This is big hydro, and renewable technology starting with wind. And so you can see the percentage of in power generation in the last year. So it's clear that nuclear energy is the leading source for in power generation in Ukraine. And the renewable energy projects account for only 1.3%. And here, how it works. The power generating companies sell electricity to the state company, Energorynek, or energy market. And those figures are amounts of the prices, basically the prices for the sale of electricity to that company from power generating companies. After that, state company energy market sell electricity at wholesale price to regional electricity distribution companies, or oblenergos, you could call them oblenergo, each company in each region. And the price is, you can see. And after that, regional electricity distribution companies are selling electricity to the end customers, to legal entities and households. And the above the 69, this is the amount. This is the price for legal entities, and 49 is the price for individual households. And all these prices are stated in euros per megawatt hour. And here you can see why the state company can afford to pay higher prices to renewable energy, because it has the majority of electricity from traditional sources at prices that are lower than the price for renewable energy. So this is how it works, and I would say this, of course, this is a simplified model, and in practice there are some details on the whole, but the whole picture is like that. And these are the feed-in tariffs, or green tariffs we call them in Ukraine. What are the key drivers for renewable energy projects in Ukraine? The key drivers are as follows. Feed-in tariffs are linked to euro, and this is very important for both local investors and international investors, because of the fluctuation in exchange rate for hryvnia. There is also state guarantee to purchase power produced from the date of the plant commission to the 1st January 2013. Of course, there is a driver like growth of tariffs for electricity from conventional sources, availability of bank financing, growing experience of market participants, because we have an experience since 2009 with the renewable energy projects in Ukraine, and of course the growing acceptance and awareness of renewable energy projects among different people. And here I would like to give my thanks to Ms. Natalia Kaczynska and her colleagues within the parliament who adopted, due to their efforts, there was also amendment to the law in 2015 that opened the market for households, private households, and that will give a positive effect on the overall acceptance of this market in Ukraine. What are the challenges for renewable energy projects in Ukraine? The major challenge is probably that PPA is signed after the power plant is built and put into operation. And moreover, the state company is used to sign PPA till the end of the year with annual prolongation for 1 year each year. So this, of course, the risk for investor. But there is also risk mitigation on that we can build the plant in several stages. For example, with solar it works well. So you just may build the first stage and get PPA signed, and after that to add next stages to the project. Of course, there is some issues on connection to the grid because of the time-consuming procedure and because of the fact that those regional energy distribution companies are not focused on renewable energy. They are obliged to connect renewable energy projects to their grids, but they are not, it's not their core business, so there are some issues with them. And what are the risk mitigation for that is to start working on connection to the grid as early as possible. And also there is this year the new opportunity in terms of connection to the grid opened with the state company Ukrenergo, that is operator of national-wide grid, high voltage grid, and they are also starting to connect renewable energy projects to their grid. We have now we have the bank financing for renewable energy projects up to 70% capex. But it's not a true project financing because usually banks require pledge or some guarantee from the investor at least for the period of construction of the plant. Okay, and Techno Group is in this business since 2009, since the introduction of green tariff, or feed-in tariff in Ukraine. We are focused on project development and EPC in solar PV power plants, and we have installed more than 100 megawatt in Ukraine. Our business is only in Ukraine right now, and we have certain goals for the upcoming years in terms of capacity to be installed. Also, we are very interested also in different new technologies. For example, we have a startup company, a technology startup in bioenergy. The idea is to gasify agricultural residues to get synthesis gas, and to put it and to get the power at the end of the story. So we're open for innovations and new technologies. And to summarize, I'd like to say that despite some difficulties and the permanent fight against Russian aggression in the eastern part of our country, Ukraine is in this renewable energy game, and renewable energy projects are already very popular among local investors, and we welcome foreign investors to participate in this development of renewable energy projects in Ukraine in order to get our country cleaner and more sustainable in terms of energy generation. Thank you very much.
Very good, thank you. So, any comments to the speaker? Thank you. So let's go forward. Our next speaker is Alexey Bayanji, CEO and founder of Wilson Engineering Technologies. Alexey?
Good morning, everyone. First of all, let me organizers for letting me speak about our company. We're quite new company on the market and basically involved in the energy design. Our main focus is the energy efficient technologies. I will tell some words about our company that has the Ukrainian roots, as we were created in 2008 in Ukraine, as the long-term partnership science and private sector in order to develop and promote the new technologies on the energy market. Like General Consular just mentioned in his speech, the IT industry is where we're sitting here, this is the IT hub, is having a kind of the big involvement within the Ukrainian companies and individuals. And Ukraine has a very certain portion of the participation in the development of IT industries. Unlike the energy sector, where we still have a lot of stuff to move forward. And if in the IT sector is traditionally encouraged to promote always the new technologies, unfortunately the energy sector is driven by the fossil fuel producers that are interested in selling as more fossil fuels as possible. That, of course, not that prominent for the development of energy efficiency technologies, and of course that there is still some certain room to promote that. That's why we are created in Ukraine and now have the company in the United States that is currently work to make the energy efficient technologies available on the market, and with possible its introduction on the Ukrainian energy sector as well. I would like to emphasize on the topic why if we are a Ukrainian company, why we didn't work in Ukraine and why we're developing our activities here. During some certain time that we tried to bring the projects into Ukraine, we faced some difficulties that majorly concern with lack of support. Just to be frank, lack of support from the government. I several times approached the high level of the officials of NAER to consider our proposals and to let us try to make sure that these technologies has the future and has the potential for Ukraine. That was not supported, unfortunately, but it was supported by the US government, which invited us to participate in several projects along the line of California Energy Commissions and Department of Energy. That's why maybe that was the reason that we have to come to the United States and to devote some of our time as technology transfer to the United States, but with the very particular desire to move these technologies to Ukraine after it will be validated and demonstrated in the United States. Today, we are working on the different projects in the solar cooling sector, and we are assigned to the solar heating and cooling program of the International Energy Agency. Our technologies are validated and patented in Ukraine, and we have several PCT, these international treaties, patents, and now we are preparing several US patents for introduction of our technologies. But in the investment sector and investment part between the US and Ukraine, we see the greatest potential in the project of the LNG LNG transportation from the United States to Ukraine. Our technologies allow us to decrease the cost of the LNG transportation by means of significant drop in the liquefaction process. That will allow to have the liquefied natural gas delivered to Europe at a very competitive price compared to the Russian gas that is currently supplied to Europe. That will really make a great impact on the energy security of the country and on the Europe itself, and can really prove to be a very unique energy diversification project. We are making the validation currently in the United States and Canada for the technology, and this technology is agreed to be demonstrated on one of the largest chemical producing plant in the United States. Probably next year or so we will have some more information about that to be shared. I would like to say that the opportunities of the Ukrainian science is really, have more potential than it is considered as of now. We have an evidence that Ukrainians promoted our country in the IT sector again. And maybe lack of people knows that the Ukrainians also involved in the in the world energy science as well, and we have work closely with the scientists who came to the United States from Ukraine like 25, 30 years ago, and they realized their potential here, and they invented the new thermodynamic cycles that are well known in the world, and we're happy that we're assigned to the same university there from the Odessa State Academy of Refrigeration, that is now the Odessa State, the Odessa National Academy of Food Technologies. I would just like to emphasize that Ukrainian energy science has very strong potential to be invested in, and it can bring a lot of smart and a lot of new innovative technologies that could really prove to be game-changing over some years, over some period of time. Hopefully we can set this example, and whatever we are going to do in the future 3 or 5 years will prove that could be available asset for both of the countries' preparation. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexei. And so, last but not least speaker, Maria Barabash, President and CEO of A7 Group, founder and board member of Ukrainian Entrepreneurs Union.
Thank you very much, Julia. Thank you very much, our colleagues and speakers. I would like just to several comments on the energy topic. We are very involved in energy, as we organize in 3 energy forums per year with more than 1,000 participants per year. Last year we organized an energy efficiency forum with the Prime Minister of Ukraine joining and 7 ministers on the panel. So, and also we organized a gas investment forum, and the second will be on the March 23rd this year in Kiev. We all inviting you to join us, and renewable energy forum that will be also the second one this autumn. There is a calendar of our events in the brochure you have. We are very happy that the energy sector is so active in Ukraine, and there are so a lot of improvements that Natalia mentioned. reforms that took place last year and they're coming this year. Hopefully, we will have more positive news for Mikhail for the royalty taxes and other issues that are for sure it's a challenge for international investor. But the situation is going better, and we see that a lot of energy efficiency laws also are in the process of implementing and already in place. So we are conducting a lot of research on the energy, and which we are presenting in our forums. And after after every forum, including this one, we will ask your opinion and like a follow-up questionnaire that we will send to all of you to have your comments and suggestions, what you would like to see or to have information about the including energy sector of Ukraine on our future conferences. But just to summarize, we have several energy investment projects that are in our investment catalog in different sectors, in renewables, in oil and gas, and I'm very happy to have the representative on renewable energy, energy efficiency, and oil and gas on one sector with the member of parliament. I will give more time for questions and answers sessions, so our participants can ask hot questions and get hot answers. Thank you.
Maria, thank you. And Natalia would like to add some comments.
Dear colleagues, dear participants, I would like also to comment my colleague mentioned gas transportation system and development on LNG. This is a very attractive and market which is developing here in US, LNG I mean, and when we are talking about the opportunities to develop this market in Ukraine, it's also very important due to the need to increase energy security and security of supply. So I just want to tell you about our capacities in gas transportation system. So we have the biggest one in Europe, gas transportation system. The entry capacity 290 BCM here, and the exit capacity to European direction is 178 BCM. So our gas transportation system connected to Russia, Belarus, Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, and Moldova. In addition to that, we also have 12 biggest gas storages and with capacity of 31 BCM. So all this makes Ukraine potentially eligible for a physical gas hub, and this gas hub is also might be big potential infrastructure projects, as well as make us possible to buy through European countries to buy LNG. So just keep this in mind that it's also potential project, and almost 15 countries, European countries, are buying gas through Ukrainian gas transportation system. So we have a very good and it's a real project on our territory. Thanks.
Thank you, Natalia. So it's time for questions. Are there any questions from the audience? Okay, yes, please, Nick. Yeah.
I think it's loud enough. So my question is about size of the investments and also like return on investments. Do you have any projects and the timelines that you can share?
Would
you like me to repeat?
Thank you very much for your question. Yeah, in terms of renewable energy, for example, if we are talking about solar PV technology in Ukraine, the overall IRR, the equity IRR for an investor, for any investor, is around 20 to 22%. So if you're talking about solar PV, so of course there are some projects in the portfolio, and so renewable energy is very popular now in Ukraine, and so it's like that.
What are the size of the investment? So when you're looking from the investors, what would be the minimum size of investment? Let's say 100,000 or like $1 million?
No, I think that talking about renewables, it's from $10 million. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for your answer. I think this gentleman, you had a question, yeah.
Thank you. I have sort of a cross between the comment and the question.
Please introduce yourself.
My name is Dmitry Markov. I'm a consultant at Galaxy Web Linux company, the IT company. And I'm also a board member of Ukrainian Association for Foreign Policy. That explains my question. Mr. Afendikov said that in the energy sector we're closely cooperating with the American government. So the question is, which government will the change of administration in the United States after the election of Trump? Is there some foresight in Ukraine how the investment policies or policy strategies in the United States will change vis-a-vis Ukraine, and how would it influence the investment situation from the United States? I don't know who takes the question, Member of Parliament or the Consul General or some businessman. Thank you.
Who's ready to answer?
I can talk about my contacts with USG, with US government, because that's somebody I talk consistently. On a level, I mean, I'm not talking about the top level of state and energy. We haven't been introduced yet. But with previous administration, we had consistent contact, and despite as any NP company, we're more Republicans than Democrats, so we still had a big support of every branch of US government. I recently briefed State Department a couple of weeks ago. We have still a lot of communication and understanding. We, again, Embassy of US is doing a great job supporting us. On different branches of US government, one of the issues I see is the future of OPAC. It's uncertain with the Trump administration. It looks like the OPAC will survive because unlike USAID, it's money-making company basically, and it will support. We hope that it will support. We have a couple of projects in pipeline in renewables, and it's $50 million pledge. So we hope that agency will survive. And we obviously, when we're talking about general Ukraine policy, it's still very much unknown with the Trump administration. We all know that the language in the Republican Party towards Ukraine been slightly changed, and we all waiting. We again, that's probably one of the reasons I'm more often in DC than I used to be. That's on the side of U.S. government, and that's what we see on our interaction with U.S. government.
Let me shortly comment on this issue. Previously we had a very good support from U.S. government, and actually during the severe winters, the State Department of Energy, they advised on energy resilience plan, and there was a good connection between ministry and U.S. administration. Today, we also, apart from different political sides, we have a very good side from U.S. states. They will continue to support our energy reform, especially in gas market, and there is a lot of contacts and communication between. So I suppose we will still receive necessary support to finish our energy reforms. Thank you.
Please, gentlemen, first.
My name is Ricardo Barbarana. We are developing electric cars here in Fremont, California. We are actually on the shadows of Tesla, just a few blocks from Tesla. But we are developing electric cars, compact, a narrow body, and in association with one of our sponsors who makes electronic equipment to test. Currently, the equipment is for test all kind of electronics, and they'll build also equipment for test electronics that goes into the Tesla cars. So we have some time ago I visited. I was in Budapest for looking at the factory there that could possibly build some of our components, electronics components that we associated with Jabil Electronics for quite some time, and I believe that facility has a presence in the Ukraine. Our interest is to, as we develop our products here in California, we want to also develop our products for the European market. We were looking for a place to establish an association, a partnership, or factory to build our electric vehicles. And I don't know how different it is with Hungary and Ukraine in terms of taxation and help and support to establish a factory to build electrical cars. And of course, there is a natural progression from electric cars to the energy that is being generated, because I don't know how it's in the Ukraine, but here in California, the sun rises on the east and it sets on the west, and at night it doesn't shine. So you gotta have that energy, during the day. And we are also working on designing the storage units, right? Because in an electric vehicle, you have to bring the energy from the outside, put it in the batteries, store it, and make it do some work. So portable storage energies are being used currently in the cell phone towers and rural areas. So that's a natural progression. So my question is, what's the facilities? How is that? I guess what kind of market would that be in terms of if I decide to place electric car factory in the Ukraine for either local consumption or for export to Europe? What kind of taxation facilities, and also what's the internal market for that, and also what's the internal market for storage units, and also for export to the rest of Europe, and so forth. That's one of my interests.
Thank you for your question.
Yes, I will answer shortly. Maybe my colleagues can also comment. Actually, when we are talking about electric cars market, it's very new for Ukraine, but this market are developing because there is a numbers of electric cars increase. And in Parliament, we supported this industry by introducing zero custom tax for electric cars, and of course we'll be welcoming you if you are going to construct factories, but this case should be well negotiated, and depending on size, the size of investment with government, if you need a particular support. So we can communicate afterwards, and we'll see what is possible to negotiate some particular support.
Thank you. Yes, please.
My name is Michael Hugh. I'm CEO of OIV Capital, and we are in the cross-border capital market and also in the cross-border trade and financing. And that's the reason I'm here. I have to say, excuse me, I'm ignorant and blind to the economics and capital structure in Ukraine, except the beautiful people and the heritage culture. swirl and nutcrackers. My question is, first, on the capital market, how private is your company, particularly in the capital-intensive market of energy? How private those companies are? That's my first question. And the second question is, what are the biggest 4 entities in the country in the capital market, and who owns it? Very simple. Thank you.
Well, let me comment on the openness and transparency. So of course, this is a problem of all post-Soviet countries, that this market should be, especially gas extraction market, should be open. And we have 2 achievements. First of all, after the Revolution of Dignity, on the parliamentary level, we adopted law to open all ultimate beneficiaries of owners, physical person who owns the companies. So today we have such as requirements on a legislative level. This is first of all. It also concerns banks and other financial institutions. The second issue, we are on also the parliamentary level and committee. There is a group of MPs who leads the process to implement EITI rules. This is rules to implement transparency on the gas extraction market. And first, necessary legislation and bylaws was adopted last year. And today we are working on the second bench of legislation necessary to open all financial inflows, taxes paid, ultimate beneficial owners of in the industry. So I suppose we will be successful in, up to the end of this parliamentary session. Thank you.
I can add a little bit. We are a public company. We publicly listed. So in the terms of major player in energy, you obviously have local Ukrainians. Akhmetov and Kolomoisky, who owns most of the market. Between those two, then Burisma Group, Zlachevsky. So independent producers, mostly Ukrainian, local Ukrainians or Ukrainian companies with a joint venture with Western companies. So it is, as Natalia said, a lot of changes been made, and it's I would say much more open than it used to be. But again, what you probably should be looking at is Ukrainian gas prices, netbacks, internal rates of return. So that's where you want to invest. If you're talking about US natural prices that hanging at $3, well, netbacks more than $3. When back a few years ago, a big development in oil and gas in Ukraine, I would say, happened 5-6 years ago, when the country was unfortunately paying higher prices, $11-12 MCF, but at that point of time, US prices were at $2, and our netbacks were at $8 MCF. So that's what should attract you as an investor in Ukrainian energy sector and oil and gas sector.
Anastasia Popova, Chief of Staff Political Aid to Ilya Ponomaryov. Well, my question refers to the point of Mr. Afendikov about the importance of the partnership with some local businesses, and to Mr. Boyadji's point about the lack of support from the Ukrainian government of domestic industries. Well, I will put it, what's your suggestion of what should be the secret ingredient that should be added into Ukrainian gas and oil sector, so Ukrainian government and Ukrainian businesses would be interested and won't be afraid of investing in the domestic sector?
see, obviously we met, and obviously you know the whole story. And what's going on is, why the reason I'm saying that the good recipe of success is to bring existing US-Canadian technology of natural gas extraction to Ukrainian soil. It has some issues. The issues are you don't have enough services. You don't have enough service providers. And what's going on, you have to have people who will implement that, who will make this happen. That's the reason why you need people who understand what you want, how you want that technology to be implemented. And obviously Ukraine has a great workforce. You have very educated people on the ground. But the problem is, in oil and gas terms, Ukraine is probably 20 years behind, maybe 15 in the last few years. So Ilya obviously knows all of this stuff. He's spending a lot of time in Ukraine. I believe the good recipe is sizable investment made by stages with the people who know technology, who know how to deal with the tight reservoirs, who know how to deal with unconventional oil and gas, and who has ability to execute that on the ground.
Alexei, please.
If we refer to the energy technologies that are currently working in Ukraine, we have to be frank, it's really outdated, and it has to be completely changed. But the reason why there is no big support for that, because it's kind of clear. If you will visit, one of the largest energy extraction plant, and you will see the old Soviet equipment there. But in the same time, the owners of these factories are one of the most richest people in Europe. And they will still get some subsidies from the government on that. And they still, let's say, doesn't show all the profits that they have made. Maybe that is why they are lobbying some processes to the government to be intolerant to anything new that might appear on the market. And maybe that's why we also faced that lack of the support from the government structures when we brought up the opportunities that was given by the International Energy Agency to invest in Ukraine, to support the new technologies and innovations development in Ukraine with the application of Ukrainian part of the technologies. We didn't hear back anything, unfortunately. And we hope that probably it will go soon, and we'll have more opportunities to do that. Actually, we are trying to initiate it, but already from this part of the world. Yeah. And it's really clear that in the modern world, we cannot afford the high-grade energy to be just wasted. And our main concern is to make use of that wasted energy and bring it back into the electricity, into the heating, into the cooling. That Ukraine is abandoned of this energy. And of course, renewable energy technologies are good enough and has to be implemented. We have to think about the waste, because it's composed like 60% of the total waste, of the total energy that is supplied to the plants of any businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexei. And we have time just for one very small question. So, please.
Nikita Safronikov from Ukrainian American Coordinating Council. So the question is, I guess, for Natalia. So are there any, as Alexei already mentioned, so for basic energy sector, there is subsidies and tax cuts. Are there any kind of such kind of subsidiaries or maybe project resolution in Parliament about subsidiaries for alternative energy and renewable energy. So, thank you.
Well, first of all, when we are talking about renewables, we have a feed-in tariff system working in Ukraine. So at the moment we are subsidizing renewables as somewhere else in the world, and solar. There is a subsidy, feed-in tariff support for solar, biomass, biogas, wind, and small hydropower. So, as I said, this support is the highest in Europe, and it's due to the very low percent of renewables in our market. So, we will be continue to support. Well, this is this initiatives. Any other sources of energy we are not supporting because they are self-sustainable. They are quite profitable, as my colleague said. That especially gas extraction, gas fracking, they have a very high IRR payback period, and they do not need to be supported at all. But when we are talking, also I just want to mention that there. Last year, we decreased royalty for gas extraction companies from 55%, 29% to 28-14%, depending on the wells depth. And now we have also initiative. I'm co-author of this initiative in Parliament of law to decrease royalty up to 12% for all wells, regardless the depth of the wells. So this initiative is discussing in Parliament, and we will continue to support. And I suppose we will make our gas extraction industry more attractive than it was before, and well, more competitive when we are talking about the nearby markets. So this all initiatives we have at the moment.
Natalia, thank you. So we are running out of time. I think we had a very interesting discussion today. Tough questions, honest answers, and I hope that this meeting will be helpful for everybody. Thank you again. Thank you, our speakers. Thank you for all participants, and have a great day.
Also, before we start, I would like to once again thanks to our partners, to our co-organizer, International Law Firm Dentons, for hosting us here in the beautiful office, and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, IBRD, Rentechna, Ukrposhta, JKX Oil and Gas, Shosky Law Firm, Turkish Airlines, A7 Capital, Belridge Capital, Airlife, Artboot Service Construction Company, A7 Creative, and also our media partners who helped us to cover this forum: Ukrainian Agribusiness Club, Business Newspaper, Forum Daily, Contact, Forum TV, Razom, Nova Ukraine, Actions First Foundation, American Chamber of Commerce, Ukrainian Venture Capital and Private Equity Association, Global Ukraine, Ukrainian Association of Investment Business, and also our media partners, Stock World, Kyiv Post, Energy, Oil and Gas, Defense Express, Outlook, GeoBiz, BizRelease, Ukrainian Journal of Business Law, Bezrivatel, Equipment and Instruments, Agri Perspective, Independent Auditor, Business Ukraine, and Promelectro. Before we start, I would like to invite and to introduce our partner and the managing partner of the Dentons office in Palo Alto and Silicon Valley, Mr. Stafford, please welcome, and you are welcome to say some welcome remarks.
Oh, yes. Well, first of all, we're thrilled to have you here. We're excited about the program that you have. We're honored that you decided to come and have it in our building, and we wanted to express our strong support for what you're doing. Here we have, among other things, a very valued client in Yuzo here. Thank you very much. Who is here as part of the program as well. I just simply wanted to say a little bit about Dentons for just a moment, and then I'll turn you back to your program. Dentons is the largest law firm in the world. We have over 8,000 lawyers in 142 offices in 71 countries. It includes a wonderful office in Kyiv that we're very actively engaged in on software deals and other things between the office here in Silicon Valley and Kyiv, so we have a direct connection with what's going on, and we do a lot of work with that office to promote Ukrainian companies that come into the United States. We have probably 8 other offices in Central and Eastern Europe as well, so we're well positioned to assist. But more importantly, we're excited about how this community is evolving in Silicon Valley, and if there's anything we do to assist you, please let us know. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you very much, Stefan. Mr. Matthews, the office managing partner for Denton Silicon Valley office. Thanks a lot for your support. And we would like to start our second panel discussion, and I would like to introduce our moderator, Ms. Katerina Sivakova, Vice President of A7 Capital. Katerina, please welcome.
Thank you, Maria. We are starting our second panel discussion on IT and infrastructure sectors of Ukraine, which are main topics in Ukraine now and always. I would like to introduce our honored participants of panel discussion. Nick Bilagorsky, founder and co-chairman of the board Nova Ukraine. Vitaly Goncharuk, founder and CEO of Augmented Pixels. Anna Garkun, deputy member of the board in Kermont International. And also we are expecting Wojtek Siversky. He is already here, but he is not in the panel discussion now. I hope he will join us. I would like to give a first word to Nick Bilagorsky, our partner from Nova Ukraine. Please share with us your experience, how you work, how Ukrainians feel in Silicon Valley. You are from Kharkiv, and now you are here. You are a security expert, entrepreneur, mentor. You're doing a lot of things for Ukraine, also in social sphere. Please share your experience with us.
Thank you, Katerina. Thank you all for coming. I'm glad this room is big enough to fit us all. So I want to say a few words about the Ukrainian IT industry and the startups that I'm working with and the startups I have seen and what I think the industry needs and what it has some good and bad things about it. And also talk a little bit about what the diaspora is doing to help Ukraine and to help the startups in Ukraine. So I've been here for about 12 years now in Silicon Valley. The past couple of years, 2 or 3 years, I've been more active in the community, getting to know my fellow Ukrainians in the Bay Area, and also other cities in the States, in Los Angeles, and Seattle, and New York, and Chicago. It turns out there's quite an active and large diaspora community. Over 1 million Ukrainians live in the United States, and about 100,000 of them are in California. That also includes people who don't necessarily identify themselves as Ukrainian, or they don't speak Ukrainian language. They could be speaking any other language, but as long as they have some special place in their heart for Ukraine, some connection, maybe their family or their parents or grandparents are from there, they all tend to want to get involved and help. So what I see part of my mission here is to build bridges between the Silicon Valley and Ukraine, between Kiev and Odessa and Kharkiv, my hometown, and the investors and business partners that Silicon Valley can provide to these companies. So I want to specifically talk a little bit about the initiative that we have that's called the Ukrainian Startup Pavilion that we've done 3 times now at large conferences for startups here in the Valley, like TechCrunch Disrupt and Startup Grind. We have now selected and brought over 30 different startups, about 10 startups each time that we select with my partner Zhenya Razinski from Los Angeles and our volunteer team here, like Misha Prishlyak and Andrei Kovalyov. And what we do is we try to find the best that Ukraine has to offer and give them the tools and connections they need to succeed in the Valley. Bring them over here, encourage them, support them, mentor them, and have them exhibit at these conferences and try to connect with potential investors. And we've had some success. I mean, Ukrainian IT market right now is still 95, 97% outsourcing, right? That's what it's really famous for, is for American companies giving contracts to Ukrainian companies, and they're just building these American products. But what we're hoping to give rise to is the community of product-based startups. We want these engineers, which Ukraine has, over 100,000 IT professionals, maybe half of that is engineers. And these engineers are very, very good. And it's not just me who thinks so, it's world-recognized rankings, right? I used to work at Facebook in 2010, 2011, and what was really surprising to me is how many talented Ukrainian coders and hackers they had. And there's all these competitions for top talent, like Top Coder and Facebook Hacker Cup, and most recently there was a hacker competition where a Ukrainian team came in best in the world, right? So we have all these talent, and we have the people that right now are choosing to work in outsourcing, where they get a steady paycheck, but they're not really interested in building something for themselves. And that's what we're trying to change, is this mindset. We want to explain to them what the opportunities are in terms of building your own company. We want to show them to point them to some examples of success. We don't have any Ukrainian unicorns yet. Unicorns are companies that are valued north of $1 billion. But we have had some exits from Ukraine, like with Luxury, that was acquired by Snapchat for $150 million. And there's a lot of actually exciting startups that are growing right now. They didn't get to an exit yet. So some of them are public, some of them are private. But my point is, I think there's a lot that we can do as a community to help our fellow Ukrainians. We started doing that a little bit with our Ukrainian Startup Pavilion initiative, which we're running twice a year, once in March and once in September. And we're hoping to expand that program. We're not getting any help from Ukrainian government, unfortunately. This is all private donors and volunteers. So I hope the government does get involved. I understand that their abilities may be limited and their budgets are very small. But I think I see other companies, other countries like Australia and New Zealand, they're having pavilions and they're definitely getting government sponsorship. But I'm still optimistic for what Ukrainian IT industry can be and for what Ukrainian startups can accomplish. So, thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Wojtek, you are Polish why you want to work with Ukraine, why you believe in us, and what recommendations could you give to Ukrainians to develop the IT sector?
Well, I think I would be taking too much of a mentor role if I tell you why, because I'm here to learn rather than to give you ready recipes. The good news is, yes, I am Polish by birth. I have never worked in Poland, although I will probably never lose my Polish accent. I spent last 20 years between Asia and here, and predominantly I'm still working with companies from Singapore, from India, from Japan, and bringing them here. I have not seen many companies from Ukraine making it to Silicon Valley, with the few exceptions of big exits that we have had of companies who partnered with other local-based companies. And maybe the reason that's going back to your question, I am here is because I would like to see a few of those exits happen. I'm both a venture capitalist. I've been fortunate to have 3 IPOs in the last 4 years. A telecom professional and startup executive. And I always dreamt about working with companies from Ukraine or from the region. It happened to me that I've been able to work with a number of companies from Poland. I have not worked with any Ukrainian companies yet, but seeing this effort and seeing you guys putting all that energy and focus in organizing something of that scale makes me optimistic. So this is the good news. Now, more practically, as Nick said, we have seen tremendous brain power coming from Ukraine, all these IT developers, all those resources which have been utilized by Silicon Valley. So certainly the CTOs and the CEOs of both investment firms and technology firms in the Valley know where Ukraine is on the map. But there is no obvious association between Ukraine and IT. There is a recognition of the energy sector. And this forum and this conference started this morning with with other speakers coming from the energy sector. But there is not so much recognition of the IT opportunities other than this traditional outsourcing. Now, there should be, and I believe there will be, an obvious link between the two. The energy sector, big as it is and profitable as it is very volatile in terms of market prices for energy, and we experienced that last year probably to a larger extent than we did until back 10 years ago. And given the focus of Silicon Valley on IT on the one hand and the capital which is available in Ukraine and generated by this energy sector on the other, I'm sure there is something to be done in between, and hopefully we can engage in some kind of a brainstorming discussion on how to make things happen.
Thank you, Wojtek. We talked about the energy sector and recognition in this sphere, but also Ukraine is very recognizable by agri-sector. And we have a presenter here, Anna Garkun, who is representing one of the biggest agri companies who is producing wines and cognacs in Ukraine. Anna, tell us more why Ukraine is good for investments, why you're here, and why agri-sector is good for any investment from any country.
Good day to everybody.
Well, I see my mission today is more like promoting an investor-friendly client environment in Ukraine. Indeed, Ukraine is known as one of the countries that is rich enough to have one of the most productive soils around the world. The company which we run is actually a business that does diversified business activities. We are quite big in real estate. We are the developers in Dnipropetrovsk, as it is now called Dnipro. We also have wine business, and actually our trip today to San Francisco was motivated by the fact that you have very nice Californian wines here, and we were dreaming to see someone from the agri sector and the wine business from among the locals, but unfortunately. Maybe next time they learn that there are companies like ours that are chasing them somewhere here and they come across our road. But anyway, I want to promote an idea that Ukrainian business is strong, it is developing, it is stable, and it is not dangerous to travel to Ukraine, to invest into Ukraine and to do business there. You see that we all sit here quite fit and healthy. We can allow ourselves to speak quite open about the problems which we have in our country and about the opportunities that the country is giving. Talking about our experience, our company is one of the biggest wine producers in Ukraine. Having experienced a takeover of the Crimean land, we have lost quite a lot of opportunities which we were seeing as the holders of the assets in Crimea. But nevertheless, as the Chinese say, word crisis consists of two words, which is opportunity and risk. So we learned how to tackle our problems and how to take the most out of what you get and to solve those problems. The company that we operate in the wine business combined both American investments and European investments. We were heading to have the IPO somewhere around this year, but unfortunately that didn't happen because of the Crimean element again. We nevertheless grow big. We still believe that the future will bring us some more opportunities, but those would be limited to private sectors, and that's why we are open for the dialogue, and we are open to open up our borders and to anyone who is willing to have, as Wojtek was saying, some brainstorming and some dialogue about what can actually the combination of two parties' efforts, experience and money bring. In Ukraine we also operate the biggest and the oldest brandy business, which is more than 125 years old. So you may assume that this is really a heritage that we have an honor to manage and to control and to develop. It would be interesting for us to enter the American market with our product, to have the distribution here, and to do that via the partnership. We do believe that in order to be successful on the market, you have to have a strong friend and a partner beside you that would guide you on that market. And that's what actually, as I believe, we all sit here and represent. We are those who may guide you on the Ukrainian market if you are interested in that investment. But looking at you, we also want to see that you are the friends to be for us to guide you on your local market. We develop a lot of projects in Dnipro. We manage real estate business. We right now have under construction one of the biggest residential complexes in Dnipro, which we believe will be accomplished by year 2019, year 2020, probably. It was surprising that when we were presenting our projects in New York, we thought about sale of those projects in the future, but quite a lot of investors came up to us and they were interested to manage those projects together with us and to build up a network of similar projects somewhere across. And that's what a combination of expertise may bring. I strongly hope and believe that the more investment forums, the more places for the dialogue we have, the more events like this we have, the better it would be for both of the parties. Hopefully, you will be as much interested in investing into our land as much as we are interested to develop at your market. I welcome any of you to the dialogues, questions you may have, and very, very warm welcome to Ukraine, at least in this forum.
Thank you, Anna. Next, I'd like to introduce Vitaly Goncharuk. He's from my home city, Odessa, so we are almost neighbors, from Augmented Pixels. And I also know that National Geographic is one of your clients. Tell us, please, the secret how to be successful in Silicon Valley and how to attract such big clients as National Geographic and others.
Thanks for this introduction. So, I'm an entrepreneur, yes, so I'm not concentrating on some problems, I see some opportunities. And so my company now in like top 10 companies in the world in computer vision, and with some other smaller companies, I don't know, Apple, Google, and some verticals. And the company based here, we have US investors. And I moved my company from Ukraine to 2012. And I did this because I understand what I need to be here to sell and to be closer to our clients. I think the answer on your question will be like, you just have to live with people, you need to understand their mentality, and you need to speak on their language. Not like Ukrainian, English language, but so I'm still improving my language. So to be honest, I have no clue what to say in this conference because I'm not like, I'm fine, yeah, so I'm understanding what I'm doing. I'm just probably want to tell you what in Ukraine, I'm still connected with Ukraine. What I'm doing in Ukraine, I have some company who transfer some knowledges to people in Ukraine, so we do some educational events. And for example, this year, I'm hosting a very big conference in computer vision. We bring people from California, speakers from California, so we transferring knowledges from California to Ukraine, so and we improving, how to say, brains of people in Ukraine, yeah, so we're changing their mentality. This is my only this is the only hope for me how we can improve our country, because we can build, I don't know, big buildings, we can build roads, but if we will not change mentality, if we will not change brain of our people, we will forget everything. So we will destroy everything what we build and return back to USSR. So this is what I'm doing in Ukraine practically. And probably another point what I wanted to pick up here, but I believe what in Ukraine, like Ukraine already have a lot of own investors. So Ukraine have own money. And Ukraine entrepreneurs very interesting to invest in Ukraine, to continue investing in Ukraine. And the only one problem what they facing is the risks. So since government of Ukraine decrease risk of investments for own people, other investors like from United States, Europe, and China will join them. And I think it's more important for Ukrainian government to have good relations with own people, because foreign investors will never go alone to any country. They usually interested to have partnerships. They're interested to decrease own risks by local people. So I think the main goal for government is to decrease risk for own people, for Ukrainian investors. And after that, we can see a lot of investors overseas. And probably I will invest more in Ukraine too, and invest more in people. Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm not like prepared, and I'm happy to discuss any questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Vitaly. So we had a nice mix of foreigners who believe in Ukraine, Ukrainians who believe in Ukraine but they're here, and Ukrainians who believe in Ukraine and they are staying in Ukraine. So, Nick, can I ask you a question? How you believe we can still develop our relationship between US and Ukraine, but not to bring brains here, but to develop business there? Is it possible, or it's just a dream of Ukrainian politicians?
So we all love our country very much. We love Ukraine. And we're very proud of successes that Ukraine had so far. We also see some reforms are finally taking place in Ukraine, although slowly and probably not as much as we'd like. To your question, how can we build better cooperation between the Valley, and how can we help entrepreneurs build their business in Ukraine? I think that's a challenge, because for a lot of people I talk to, they're primarily looking to immigrate and build it here, right? They are asking, what kind of visa I can get to come here. Silicon Valley is like a dream to them. They come here, they want to settle down, right? And as the smartest people leave Ukraine, it turns out that maybe we're not helping but hurting the country. And that's an issue that I'm struggling with often. Even if these people grow their business and they end up hiring more people in Ukraine, and it will help the economy. I think the challenge is, how do we get people to be successful in those circumstances? And that's not something that is possible in the short term. I'm hoping long term, when the reforms that are taking place now actually give some results, that may happen. But right now, primarily what I'm seeing is they want to come to the States or come to Europe and take advantage of the opportunities that are available here. Right? So what we try to do is we try to connect with the youngest people and run more schools, more libraries. We send computers to Ukraine and we teach programming courses to the youngsters, and give opportunities to people who maybe are not in the top markets like Kyiv and Kharkiv, but in the villages and other places, right? And we try to, we can't force people to do what they don't want to do, right? If they want to leave, they will leave. But we try to find the most patriotic people that love the country and want to help it, and help those people.
Thank you. So there is no way for now. Wojtek, what do you think? Would you rather invest in a Ukrainian company in Ukraine or in Ukrainian company based in States?
I think that the question itself, with all the respect, Katerina, is not well phrased.
Okay.
I would invest in good companies. And there is no reason why a good company should not be stretched in between two. There are benefits of not only starting, but keeping your operations not limited to R&D and development effort, but your day-to-day business operations in Ukraine, which offers huge market access. This is the point that you should be stressing to local investors here in the US. Ukraine offers much more than just brain power. It offers market access in different sectors to a region populated by tens, if not hundreds of millions of people beyond Ukraine itself. Now, when it comes to a structure, there is really nothing, there shouldn't be anything religious or magical about trying to keep the company in Ukraine. At the end of the day, investors will be looking for exit from their investment. Because there is no investment there is no open-ended investment. And if you look at exits, the best exits in terms of valuations and market demand are here. And that's why we have companies from the UK, from Asia, from Poland, keeping their core assets and their core customers in their native locations, such as Poland or Singapore or Ukraine next. And then really flipping the fundraising effort to the US, because it generates much faster access to more risk-prone capital and much better exit multiples. So there is no contradiction between two. You can have a company in Ukraine, and that company in Ukraine should always get some local money, because local money will be always considered smart money. That's the money which understands the people it's investing in. And you have tremendous resources, as we started, existing in your energy sector, who can place a bet on the most promising Ukrainian companies from other sectors, and then really build a bridge, registered an entity here which will be transparent and obvious and easily understandable for US or international investors, and really benefit on the combination of two. I'm not sure whether I expressed what I wanted to express clearly, but the short answer is it's not either or, it's both.
Thank you. Anna, you wanted to add something?
Being a lawyer, it's twice as nice to be in the dentist's office. I would say that actually to make investments come into Ukraine rather than to leave Ukraine in terms of brain power, that's more or less a question to the national strategy. I don't think that it makes a lot of sense putting a lot of effort of making those adults which live in Ukraine today to stay there, because they have quite a strong opinion about what Ukraine is like, what they want to be in the future, but it makes tremendous sense investing into the youth, into the youngsters, which are looking around, they understand that they are absolutely open to the world, they want to live somewhere abroad, they want to travel, etc. And then the state has to ask itself, what is it that they have to do to make those people, after they've graduated from some university, come back home? And that's a very good example that the Chinese show to us. They do invest into their young generation, getting as much access and as much knowledge in the best universities in the world, but they are obliged to come back home and to stay at home doing the business for their local companies for some number of years. And we understand that those are the years when they are most likely to settle with a family, you know, to grow up and to have the roots already back at home. So I would say that the Ukrainian government has to think about that quite seriously. Secondly, as any investor, as Wojtek was accurately saying, would look into what is it that actually he needs to have a successful business structure, either for the purpose of the capital raising or the exit or whatever. And that's a pure legal job. If we have absolutely wisely written corporate law, litigation, tax law, banking finance law, that would provide comfortable existence for the business on the territory of Ukraine, there is no reason why not invest into Ukraine. The first thing that the investors are looking at, they're saying, okay, how much money can I earn, and when would that happen? And if you are paying quite a lot of taxes, you do not have any state support programs, you start looking where you can get those. So naturally, the legislation of Ukraine is one of the big tumblestones which we are facing today, and that's again the task of the parliament, to rewrite it or to review it or to write it. And before that happens, we simply have to accept those environments that we have today and see what we can do as private investors and work out the best solutions in the given circumstances. Thank you.
So we are doing governmental job now.
Can I ask?
Yeah, of course. Vitaly.
Probably I will talk something opposite to what we heard before. So go to Ukraine, find some US citizen who doing business, actual business in Ukraine, and ask him why he doing this business in Ukraine and not in the United States. And he will answer you what he can earn in Ukraine more money than in the United States. He will answer you what he can you have less, how would you say, bureaucratic problem in Ukraine than in the United States. Because he can solve problems much quicker. Because of some specific Ukraine, yeah? So I just want to tell you what, it's some kind of opportunity. So if you're ready to work in Ukraine with some more dynamic environment than on some stable markets like in the United Kingdom or United States, go in Ukraine and do your business and talk with people foreigners who are doing actual business in Ukraine. And maybe they will not give you same answer as me because they don't want to compete. They don't want to have same people to compete on Ukrainian market. But just watch what they're doing. Again, the Ukrainian market in a lot of areas has less competition in the United States. You can earn more money. For sure you have more risks. But it's all about profits. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you all our speakers. I would like to start our Q&A session. If anybody has questions, please feel free to ask.
My name is Ricardo Barbara. I probably heard before. Listening to all of you and everybody else, my question is, as I develop my electric car company here in California, we have a presence here in the electrical EVs and also storage units. Now, for the initial concept of our cars, which are compact and narrow body, we're thinking in Europe, and precisely what Wojciech mentioned that, and also, the reasons why I will even look at the Ukraine or Hungary or the former is Germany is because of the market access, right? Our concern is, of course, okay, so we have these products, electric vehicles. They're very, very narrow, very compact. I mean, good for the European streets. Now we could place a factory, let's say, in the Ukraine or Poland or Hungary. Now, how are we going to ship those, products? Either we're going to have local consumption, we got a local market. If not, how are we going to ship those to, let's say, to France and Germany and the Nordic countries? I mean, are they railways? Are they government support? I mean, what would be my incentive to do that in the Ukraine as opposed to, let's say, Poland or the former East German areas? Okay.
I will dare risk, but I believe that probably your question should go to the member of the parliament because they are the ones that have to promote things like that. But anyway, if there is a demand for the product that you are willing to supply, believe me that the routes how to get that product on the market are open. Probably we do not have that developed infrastructure for electric cars yet, but we are on the way. I dare assume that there may be some new, because this is not an ordinary business that is in Ukraine right now, but there may be some new regulations about passing the customs control and things like that, but those are the technical matters. It's just like we are experiencing now when we were talking to the guys in the New York, and they were saying, have you done your consumer study on the American market? Do you know what you need to have in order to import from the regulatory standpoint? No, we do not know that. And that's why we are looking for the partners to partner up and to have that experience. There is no point inventing a vehicle if it already exists. So I believe that for your specific question, there would be quite a lot of people that do automobile business in Ukraine that would be more than willing to have a serious partner from the States with a really new type of product. And the members of the parliament will help you.
I have some specific answer for you. So in Ukraine, you have, if you're importing electrical vehicle to Ukraine, you have zero taxes. So you don't need to pay any taxes when you, for example, importing Tesla or whatever. Okay. Second, I have in Ukraine, I have two companies who is a good friend of mine, he developing charging stations. So he has now 400 charging stations. So we see some dynamics in this area, and we have some other regulations. So if you're interested, just ping me, and I can connect with him. So he have good insight probably about market. What for sure it's not the situation when you have here in California when government paying you, compensating you electricity and some other on charging station, but probably we have some other models. But at least we have zero taxation when you're importing electrical cars in Ukraine. Okay. Yep.
Hi, my name is Natalia. I run a healthcare company here in the Bay Area, Health Tech, but also invest in Ukraine and IdeaSung. So we have food, restaurants, business with my family, and we just started recently. I tried to invest before in manufacturing assembly lines in Ukraine, but it was very difficult. So actually, as a Ukrainian, faced a number of obstacles, even starting like assembly line with some tandem and other approvals that were maybe not fully clear. But my question is, when I see the trends in startups and innovations, I see that many countries can offer one valuable niche. Let's say Finland, they have one of the best healthcare solutions, health tech companies, and they have a very strong presence in Bay Area, and they actually attract very more investments in Bay Area companies, investors who focus on healthcare. So my question to you specifically, knowing Ukrainian climate, knowing that we have advancements of technology development, what kind of future verticals, industries you see are the ones that you can go into international market and build a strong presence?
So, very good question. What is the niche for Ukraine, right? I've been asking myself the same question. I see the companies I look at are primarily early startups at seed or Series A level in hardware, software, and computers technologies, right? And I really see a lot in the IoT space and devices. I see Ukrainian engineers are very intuitive, and they come up with interesting devices. They build them, and then they try to market them and sell them, and that's where they usually fail. So I think IoT could become the niche if they can figure out how to take them to market better. I feel in general that's the strong part of Ukrainian is the building part. The weak part is having the business skills to sell, market, and get to the global audience, because Ukraine, contrary to popular belief, is not a very big internal market for software products. People there don't like to pay software licenses, and they're generally pretty poor. But the Ukrainian companies that are building software for global market, for Europe and Asia and US, tend to be quite successful. So software and hardware as well. And it is also very attractive to invest in Ukrainian software companies because of the cost effectiveness, right? Here you can invest $500,000 into a company at an early stage, and you will only buy 5% of that company because it's valued pretty high. And they can only afford to hire 3 or 4 engineers for that money for a year. In Ukraine, the same amount of money, they will hire 20 engineers, and you will own a third of that company. So it's much cheaper. People are smart, and they will build interesting, unique technologies. As long as they can figure out how to market and sell them, I think hardware devices and IoT devices could be a niche that could propel Ukraine.
If you like that, add some part of it. So in Ukraine, you can now find some clusters. So it's not only about IT, so they're trying to build clusters around some other verticals like agriculture, logistics, and some center. So if you want to establish, for example, some line, assembly line, probably you need to found some cluster and try to deal with them. So they have some conditions. It's like they're trying to do something similar to what in the United States. And to Nick, in IT we have very good people because they actually working in outsourcing companies. So they're working for US companies, but in Ukraine. So probably they're very familiar with everything that's happening here, but they're working from Ukraine. So I agree, but they can deliver a product according to standards here.
Yeah, I have my IT companies as well in Ukraine, which is
I have a small remark. My name is Alex. I'm a manager of DuPont Ukraine. DuPont is a big multinational American company which is producing different products, including crop protection pesticides. So I want to say that the best niche to invest in Ukraine is agriculture, actually. We're sitting in Silicon Valley, that's why there are mostly IT people, but I know some prominent agricultural businessmen. I just want to mention that Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe and Saudi Arabia of food. 30% of Ukrainian GDP is generated by agriculture. Ukraine is #1 in crude sunflower oil production and #1 exporter, #2 in the world in grain exports. And I think the best opportunities which Ukraine is offering at the moment is not IT, not heavy industries, but agriculture. And just simple food production in Ukraine, all food chains starting from growing sunflower and corn, ending up with the sophisticated food products. I think it has a future. If I go to, I recently moved to San Mateo, to Silicon Valley, to join my family. And when I go shopping, grocery shopping, I enter some shops, I see full range of Ukrainian products, processed or raw products, the famous buckwheat, and different kind of grains, cereals. I think this is for the future, for the next 5-10 years, Ukraine would be the best place for investment in agriculture. Thank you.
So you are very happy to continue the dialogue about the wine business?
And spirits.
Also, we have made a research on investment projects in Ukraine, and you can find in your brochure the opportunities ready for cooperation. If you have any questions, you can contact me on them.
Well, thank you for inviting us here. Szczęsne Maryla, Ukraina.
If there is no question, I would like to ask Maria Barbash for closing remarks.
First of all, I would like to thank all our speakers, all our partners, and thank you, Katerina. And also, you can find all the projects in the brochure, and also projects of Logos Corporation. They are inserted in all the brochure, real estate and agriculture. Also, I would like to thank all the participants to come, and thank you for your questions. And this is first our event in Bay Area, but we will come again. We love that. So thank you for all of you. So all the presentation will be available on the website. The live streaming is already on the YouTube channel, and several broadcasts have already done by our partners. So thank you very much, and see you soon in San Francisco. Thank you.